Hello and welcome to UOC Pitchside, the sports chat show brought to you by University of Cumbria Jersey students. I'm your host as always, Tom Dorsey, and we've got a bit of a packed show today. I'll tell you, we have. We're going to start off with internationals, and there was quite a lot last night, but we're going to start with England. Well, I am anyway, because I think I was the only one watched it. So that shows how much everyone cares about England. Probably because of Roy Hodgson and Ray. I do love them too. Anyway, I thought we played all right last night, but the thing that stood out for me was Kyle Walker. I think he's a weak link in the team. I really do. There's so many opportunities where he could have played a decent pass, or he could have just give it to another man, or he could have put a ball in, and he just chose to run basically. Apart from that, I thought Lallana had a solid game. I thought he put in the right shift. Sturridge doesn't seem to know what he's doing in England shirt at the moment, and I thought it was a strange substitution bringing off Rooney for Lambert. I think he should have been Sturridge for Lambert. Anyway, Jamie, you had a point you wanted to make?
I just think it's a reality check for England. There's pretty much full strength team, bar maybe Tom Cleverley, Townsend, and Walker. I think was nearly a full strength team, and you know Germany are one of the best teams in the world. It just shows you they're not the same level because Germany did play them.
Germany were very good last night, and it was a second team, and some of the players they were stringing off that he'd sent home were crazy. He'd sent home Ozil, he'd sent home Neuer. They hadn't got closer. They hadn't got Gomez, and you still look at the talent in that team. Like Draxler came on. They had Cruz, and they had Royce, who I think is a great player. It just shows how much depth they've got and how much they've improved since that massive takeover thing they had in the 2000 with Klinsmann and that. Harry?
I think it was always going to be a struggle for England. I think these are two big teams. Like Chile have some real quality, and then Germany obviously have the depth in the squad to put out players like you were just saying. But I think there's 4 teams in the World Cup that are going to make the biggest impact. I think they're Brazil, who are favourites, I think, and then Spain, Italy, and Germany. And I can't see England coming close to that.
I think Italy could be. They're a bit hit and miss sometimes. Italy.
I think Italy are seriously underrated going into this tournament, and they've got some serious depth in the squad and some real quality.
Yeah, it's
especially
just
on an international level. And I think they're going to surprise a few people.
I'm just looking forward to Pirlo again. I love that man. He's a beautiful man.
Fantastic beard.
And we'll be talking about beards later, folks. There's a little teaser for you. George?
Well, I saw yesterday that there was a German 11 that someone posted online that didn't play against England, and 8 of those were in the side that beat us 4-1 in the World Cup in 2010. So it's quite scary how much better Germany are than us. But going back onto the Kyle Walker criticism, it seems a bit strange considering he's had, after a really poor season last season where his concentration levels are really poor, he's been very, very good this season, and he's been named in quite a few team of the season so far as the right back. I know right back's not very strong in the Premier League, but he has really improved. It seems weird that he's not. Was Andros Townsend playing on the right last night as well?
He was, yeah.
That's weird.
He did his thing of running and being probably England's most threatening player, to be fair to him.
I was watching the Sweden-Portugal game, and when that finished about 50 minutes before the end, I turned on, saw Andros Townsend go on a run and then put the ball in Rowe's head. So it says it all really.
There was, though, he did have a proper nice strike where he hit the post, and Weidenfeller was all ends up beaten, so he was unlucky to.
If you throw enough shit at a wall, some of it will stick.
I suppose so. But no, Walker for me, I just think he's really overrated. Really overrated. Harry?
The thing with Townsend is I think he could do all right on an international stage because people won't find him out as quickly as they will in the Premier League. So, I mean, give it a few years and maybe he'll come unstuck. But I think going into the World Cup, he could be a bit of a wild card. But if you read George's article the other week, I would totally agree with that. Like in the Premier League, he's going to be found out so quickly, like he was against us when we just put 2 or 3 players around him every time, and he just couldn't do anything.
Yeah, George's article was a good read, and the picture caption was quite good. I came up with that one. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to talk about Ireland now, and it's been a bit of a mini revolution. 2 wins, 2 clean sheets. What do you reckon?
Well, one win, 1 draw. It was 0-0 against Poland, but it was a decent performance. It was fairly boring. A lot of changes. I think there was only 4 players that started the game against Latvia that started, so there was a lot of change. Pretty much second string against Poland, and we done well. 0-0 draw. Poland have arguably few like much better individuals than us, but as a team, I don't think they ever really performed that well. And 0-0 draw, decent enough result, and I think the win against Latvia was very, very pleasing. 3-0. Played well, good press in the midfield, and it looks like Mon Keane was working.
Nice little nickname there. My mistake there, sorry for getting the results incorrect. George?
I was going to ask Jamie if the ongoing row between Martin O'Neill and Paolo Di Canio has been anything of a distraction.
I doubt it, I really do, because I don't think O'Neill would really care that much, you know, and it's not going to affect the players at all.
I think O'Neill is sort of like, you know what, he's like that little kid in the playground, year 7 and he's starting with like a year 11 sort of thing. So I think as you've seen with what he said in his conferences, he's been like just letting it go over his head sort of thing and not really taking him on.
You can't take anything Di Canio says very seriously.
Sweden-Portugal turned out to be a right corker, and Harry, you watched the full game?
Yeah, I watched it. The first half was a bit cagey. I don't think Sweden wanted to concede because they knew the implications if they did. The second half was the best I've watched in a long time. I mean, Ronaldo scored when Sweden started to come forward a bit. He started getting a bit more space, and when he gets one-on-one, he's just not going to miss, and he proved that last night. But as soon as he scored, you just saw Sweden's attitude change, and Ibrahimovic, he was like a man on a mission, and every time Sweden came forward, he looked like he could score, and when he did score finally, you just saw like the whole crowd rose, and then they got a free kick, and I think last week they had one in a similar position, and Kallström took it, and he put it wide, but Ibrahimovic wasn't having any of that this week, and he just slammed it home but
it's a real shame not to see Ibra.
It's going to be a massive shame. I think he had a quote like the World Cup's not going to be the same without me, and it's definitely not and I think it could have been his last chance as well, which is a shame really.
How old is he now?
He's 32.
Yeah.
So it could be his last chance. Probably.
Unless he does a Larson, maybe.
Probably will be, but yeah, Ronaldo, he just kept finding space and finished them off. It's an incredible performance. I think it strengthens his case for Ballon d'Or now.
Yeah, it's going to be tight that. We're going to move on to France as well, because whenever the French go, there's always a bit of controversy, and there was some in that game last night, and I'm sure the Irish lads are going to bring up other controversies in the past. But the France game, Jamie?
Well, I didn't see it, but I've seen the offside goal, and yeah, it's farcical again from France. They can't seem to qualify fairly. But you know, there's no point bringing up past things. Everybody knows about Thierry Henry and the handball situation. But I do feel sorry for Ukraine, because I know how they feel.
Was you not happy with Sakho's performance?
Oh yeah,
From a Liverpool point of view?
definitely. But I wouldn't be France's biggest fan, to be honest.
I don't think France have got many fans. Harry?
I saw a thing last night. I think it had France in pot 3 for the draw. And I mean, if that's the case, then there's going to be could be a potential group of death there.
There's a lot of big teams that are unseeded, isn't there? There's England, the Dutch.
I think, to be honest, England are lucky to be seeded where they are.
There's a weird situation with the draw because there's too many European teams outside of the unseeded bits. It's almost going to be a special pot for France, Chile and Ecuador. They'll get drawn because you can't have 2 European teams in the same group, and you can't have 2 South American teams in the same group, and it's all a bit complicated, and the draw will go on for about 5 hours.
Did Chile qualify for the World Cup, just out of interest? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Have they qualified yet? Going back to the favourites, we've had a few tweets in from a few people. Iran, apparently, we've had. Who's the other team we've had?
Greece, Iran
Greece.
and
Greece.
They 14 clean sheets and 18 between the two of them.
You'd have to say it's something special for him to do Euro 2004 again. Anyway, moving on. I'm sure you're all thinking, where's Morky? He's remarkably quiet. Where is he? Well, we're going to him now. He's going to talk to us about the Ashes. It starts tonight. Morky, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, first test tonight. Obviously, the build-up to an Ashes test is huge. There's always all the talk between both captains. It's the biggest event in cricket. There's some doubt on the England side about wicketkeeper Matt Pryor over whether he's going to be fit or not. They're wondering whether to call up Johnny Burstow from Yorkshire, who's on standby. But I think the first test of an Ashes test, especially in Australia, we need experience. So I think we should play Pryor even if he's not fully fit.
There's still a lot of what's the word? Still a lot of backbiting between the Aussie press and the England squad. Do you think that's going to stop when the playing starts?
It's just the Australian press sphere. They're the same with every sport with us, calling us pommy this, pommy that. But we'll see once the cricket starts. I mean, I think we should win the Test series. I reckon it'll be about 3-0. There's an argument over who we should take as the extra fast bowler for the first Test over Chris Tremlett, Stephen Finn and Boyd Rankin. Personally, I think we should go for Stephen Finn because I think he's taken the most wickets so far in the warm-up game. In Australia, the pitches tend to be hard and bouncy, or have a bit of swing in it or a bit of seam movement in it for the fast bowlers. So I think he'd be the one to get more out of it for us. It's also Kevin Peterson's 100th Test cap tonight. Makes his 100th appearance. I remember his first Test cap was the 2005 Ashes series, the one we won for the first time in 18 years at Lords. So it's quite ironic, really. But yeah, it just shows that he's a good player, very good player, and we're lucky to have him as a country, even though he is a bit South African.
A bit South African. And also, that's not all of Morkie now. There's some more coming. Frock versus Groves this Saturday night. Morkie can't afford the box office, so I don't know what he's going to do about that. So anyway, Morkie?
Yeah, I'm sure we're looking for an illegal stream for it somewhere. But yeah, it'll be a big fight. There's been a lot of talk between the two. Frock doesn't feel that Groves is giving him the respect he deserves, and there's maybe an argument for that, but Groves has got to do whatever he can to get in his head to try and wind him up to win it. I think the fight will be a good one. I think Groves will come out for the first few rounds. I think he will take the first few rounds, with Frock coming back into it towards the end. And I think the last few rounds could be very interesting, but I either see Frock getting him in the later rounds by knockout or winning on decision. Also big in boxing this week is the news that Mike Tyson apparently fought 2 of his fights on drugs. One of them was a 34-minute knockout of some South African bloke in Glasgow in 2000. 34 seconds, sorry, which just shows you the effects that cocaine can have, really, as a performance-enhancing drug.
It's like a hangover, isn't it? That big part in the hangover. Anyway, I saw something this morning on Sky Sports News. I think it was the Carl Frock behind the ropes or whatever it was called.
Yeah, I watched that last night.
Yeah. And I saw Groves that was saying that the way he's talking about a legacy, and he was saying a legacy is when it's history and things like this. Was he talking like he wanted to spend more time with the family, Frock?
He said that he was looking forward to retiring so he could give it up and spend more time with his family and whatever. Yeah, but I think his legacy, he will have a good legacy whether or not he wins tomorrow.
I think that's
on
him
Saturday.
just trying to get in the mind of Groves to maybe give him a bit of false sense of security and then come out and show him why he's champion.
I don't know. I think Frock's just trying to remind him that he's out. A lot of the trash talk in the weigh-in and what the press conferences and whatever have been try to remind Groves that he's out of his depth. Really, I think whether or not Frock does win, he's obviously got a good legacy because he's won world titles, back-to-back world titles. He's beat some very good fighters: Arthur Abraham, Lucian Beauty, Kessler, a couple of others. So yeah, I think it's come a bit too soon for George Groves. I think he's too young, but I think he will be a world champion one day. But I think it's just come a bit too soon for him. He lacks a bit of experience. I think that'll get Frock through the fight.
Also in boxing this week, there's been the news that David Hay is considering retiring after a shoulder injury. I know there's some quite heavy opinions in this room, and we were speaking earlier, and Harry sounded a bit controversial. So I'm going to go to Harry first. Harry?
I don't like Hay at all. I was quite looking forward to Tyson Fury beating him, to be honest, and I'm upset that that's not going to happen now. I think it's twice it's been called off now, so I don't think it's going to happen, and maybe he'll retire. I won't miss him if he does, to be honest. I'm not his biggest fan.
I'm going to go to Jamie now, but there's some serious head nodding over in Morkie and George's corner. But Jamie?
Well, I just think it's very convenient again. I wouldn't be Hay's biggest fan, and I don't like Tyson Fury either, but I did want to see Hay lose because I really don't like him. And I just think it's very, very convenient that he's gotten injured again right before a big fight.
Right, George Markey, he's
Oh,
going first.
He didn't. I mean, he fought a guy who was 7 feet tall in value. He fought a Klitschko. I mean, to think he's running scared from Tyson Fury, it seems a bit of an odd statement because he beat Tyson Fury to a pulp without training.
Markey.
I agree with George. Yeah, I
Makes a change.
I like David Hay. I think he's obviously achieved a lot in his career. At cruiserweight, he was untouchable. He was absolutely untouchable. He flattened quite a few people. Enzo Maccarinelli has never been the same since, and a few other fighters. Heavyweight, he's all right. He was good. He's not, but he's been found a bit wanting really when it came to fighting Klitschko. But yeah, he was still heavyweight champion of the world for a time. And I just think you need an operation. So there's not much you can do about it. I absolutely despise Tyson Fury and was really looking forward to Hay flattening him. But I think he's on about fighting Deontay Wilder, the American guy.
Do you think he's going to retire though? Because he's been muted. Do you think this is his retirement now?
Yeah, I think this is it. He hasn't fought since July 2012 when he fought Derek Chisora. So it's a long time to be out of the ring, really.
Which one, the fight in the press conference or the actual fight? Because there was two.
Both.
Harry?
I'm confused. Like, if Hay hadn't have got that cut above his eye and the fight called off the first time, would he have fought needing reconstructive shoulder surgery?
I don't know that one.
Unless they didn't know about it. It might have been one of them.
They must have regular tests there, that's the thing.
Surely they would now.
We said he went for a standard MRI scan, didn't we? And then 24 hours later, he was told he needed 5-hour surgery. I'm not sure how you can cover that up, really.
It's not something that just pops up out of nowhere, though, is it?
No, I know it's not. It is a bit weird. It'll be all. I stick up for him now, but it'll be all the more convenient if he pops up in 6 months' time, fights a Klitschko, and then Tyson Fury fights the winner. That would be all too convenient.
Yeah. I think that Joshua is got a bright future as well. He's similar to Hay. Anyway, we're going to move on to something new. Something that we've not talked about before. It was UFC 167 last weekend in Las Vegas. And Jamie and Harry are going to tell us a bit more because there was a controversial decision, I think. And leading on to this as well, we're going to have a debate between Morky and a fellow journalism student regarding MMA and boxing, which we're going to film so you can watch it. There's something new for you. That'll be coming either Friday or sometime early next week. Anyway, Jamie?
Well, yeah, it was a controversial decision. It was George St. Pierre against Johnny Hendricks, and it was a title fight. And you know, everybody knows George St. Pierre is arguably one of the best champions that UFC has ever had. But he was losing the fight, and even the commentators and everybody was very surprised when the decision was read out, and it was a split decision. It wasn't unanimous, and George St. Pierre was announced the winner when he really shouldn't have been.
Harry?
Yeah, I think you just needed to look at sort of both the corners' reactions when the results were read to realise that the decision was completely wrong. I think everyone knew George St. Pierre had lost that fight, including himself. And I couldn't believe it when he got announced the winner. I really wanted Johnny Hendricks to win. I think he deserved to win. I think George St. Pierre's coming to the end now. He got absolutely battered. I mean, if you just watch the post-match press conferences, Hendricks looked like he could go again. George St. Pierre hardly had a face left. Like, it was just ridiculous. That's his 9th defence now. He's not knocked anyone out. In 9 defences, he's had 8 decisions and 1 corner stoppage. And I think it's just natural to want someone that's going to go in and knock people out, isn't it?
There's an argument there that he's quite a boring fighter, but he is very successful. And before the fight, the fans were obviously in favour of Pierre, but at the end they were booing the result, weren't they?
They were booing it, yeah.
Which is quite unusual, but yeah, I think he could be near
I think
the end.
It just shows how wrong the decision was that they would boo him. Like,
Does it give you any ideas for your debate on Friday or next week, Morky?
Yeah, a few. Yeah, we'll have to see.
We'll have to see, folks. It could get a bit fiery, I've got a feeling. Anyway, we're going to now move on to where we all know and love. It's football again this weekend. Honestly, I feel quite out of touch. I've sort of forgot that it's even football this weekend because the international break seems to happen to me during international breaks. There's some big games. There's a Merseyside derby. There's a Southampton versus Arsenal. And the big one for George. The big one. City versus Spurs, which I'm sure he's got something to say about. Anyway, the derby, Jamie. What do you reckon?
quite excited. I think we definitely have the beating of Everton. We've been playing well. I think we'll win. It's an early kick-off. I think we've Suarez and Sturridge fit. I was a bit worried about Sturridge coming back off the international, playing through the injury or whatever that he supposedly had. But it's good that he's fit. Gerrard's there. Hopefully Johnson will be back. And yeah, I can't see anything other than a win, hopefully.
Are you quite, without wanting to say, are you quite surprised how well Everton have done under Martinez?
Oh yeah, I'm a big fan of the way they play. I like Barry and McCarthy in midfield and Barkley playing off Lukaku. I think it's very good. Then you've other players like Pina and Baines, of course, banging in free kicks. They're a very good team, and they will be tough to beat. And if any striker in the Premier League is going to cause you problems, it's going to be Lukaku. And Liverpool do struggle against big, strong strikers. But I hope we can do it.
What do you reckon? Anybody? Anything
I've
to say?
definitely been surprised by Martinez when it got announced that he'd signed Kone, Alvarez and that reserve keeper
Alcaraz.
in the summer.
Alcaraz.
I did kind of stick a fiver on them to be relegated, so I've been completely surprised by Everton this season. But they have turned into a bit of a one-trick pony with Lukaku now. They're relying on a player that isn't even theirs, but I expect Liverpool to win, and fairly comfortably as well.
I think midfield is a big thing. There's been a lot of talk, especially from me and Kevin, about Liverpool's midfield and the engines that we don't have. But McCarthy and Barry are very, very good midfielders, and I think they do have a better midfield than us, which is an area that would worry me. I'm a big fan of McCarthy, maybe because he's an Irish international, but I think he's a very good player. And that's the one area of the pitch that worries me. But I do think we have a better team overall, and I think we should win.
Is it at Goodison Park or Anfield?
Yeah, well, Goodison Park.
I always think the thing is with Merseyside derbies, at Anfield Liverpool seem to walk it, but at Goodison Park Everton just seem to raise the game that bit more. So I think it could be an interesting game.
What was the score last season? Did Suarez not get a couple?
2-2.
2-2.
2-0, yeah. Kevin signalling to me.
The old the dive, remember?
Yeah.
Suarez up to David Moyes.
Ah, yeah.
The fixture with
Priceless.
red cards, is it not, as well? So you probably expect a red card or two.
I always find it interesting that the fans sit together, don't they?
It's yeah. It's they say it's a friendly rivalry between the city, but I don't know if it's that friendly.
Right then,
It's
moving on.
it's a bit of a myth.
Southampton Arsenal. What do you reckon there? Southampton have amazed me. They absolutely annihilated us when we played them. And I just think they've signed some real quality, and I didn't even realise they had that amount of money. Harry?
I think it'll suit Southampton more. I don't think it's going to suit Arsenal playing against a team similar to them. I don't think they tend to do well against other possession teams, and that could cause them a few problems.
As long as Ramsey gets some points for me again this week, I'll be happy. And Lovren, actually, he's pretty decent in there for us now.
I noticed when Liverpool played Southampton, the pressing is just unbelievable, and I wonder how Arsenal will deal with that, because they do press very high up the pitch. Every player is runs after every lost cause. It's very difficult to play against.
I think he's done well with getting people like Lambert to do that as well. I know he's a hard-working striker, but I've not. It was against us or against another team, I can't remember. I've never seen Lambert run so quick to close down a defender. It just shows how well Pochettino has actually done there. I still think he needs to learn English. Not being funny like that, but I think it's just funny watching the press conferences. George?
I think how easy the game's going to be for Arsenal depends on the system that Southampton play, whether he tries to fit Osvaldo in the team again, because when Osvaldo's in, Lambert is totally wasted and the connection isn't there between the two. So if he sticks with Lambert up top again, maybe brings Osvaldo off the bench during the second half if he needs it, then Southampton have got a chance of even winning the game.
Yeah, is it St Mary's or is it the Emirates?
It's at St Mary's.
Yeah, I think it could be a tough day for Arsenal. And now, George, here we go. City.
It'll be at the Emirates because we're playing away.
Okay, it's at the Emirates. We've sorted out, cleared that up even. Spurs City. Come on, George.
Well, it's depressing, sort of, because we know what City's home form is like a little bit, but there's also a glimmer of hope in that we've had plenty of moans about our pitch being too small. Manchester City have the biggest pitch in the Premier League, so this expansive football that we're supposed to be seeing could maybe finally come into effect.
Are you ever
Man
happy
City
with Tottenham, George?
I don't like to be, because I always want a bit more, but I mean, I want certain people to work. I want Townsend to work. I'm not writing him off completely. He'll more than likely start the game, but I want Lamela to start as well. I just want something to shout about, something that doesn't send me to sleep. I don't care if we lose 4-3 at this one, really, because we're not expecting much. But if we can get a bit of excitement going, then it might just kickstart the season somewhere.
Before Aguero's in, I'd be afraid.
I need some fantasy points from Aguero.
Forgot all about Aguero.
Gonna make him captain, I reckon, this week.
Like that strike force they have is just fantastic.
Do you think City are quietly going along a bit unnoticed?
No, they're on the same points as Manchester United, and everyone moans at Manchester United.
Aren't they a point behind United?
They're probably behind United even, so
They've had a few iffy results, but I do think quality will shine through.
Yeah,
at
I
the
think
end.
they've just quietly been going about their business. A few iffy results, but I still think they'll be up there.
They can't win the league if they can't play away from home.
Yeah, that is a fair point, Mr. Barker over there. I'm just going to tell you, it's our first Mullenstein effect this week against Swansea. We'll see how that fares. Right, 2 new features for you. I'm sure you've seen one of them. We're all massive fans of Sydney FC. Sydney is sky blue, whoop whoop, down the Warriors. Yeah, Alessandro Del Piero's there, loving life. So yeah, we're tweeting about them. Harry, to be fair to him, bless him, over there, he's been getting up at crack of dawn watching Sydney FC. Surprised he's actually made it in some of the days. He's been watching that early. We've got that. But also, I did say to you earlier we'd be talking about beards. I did. You remember? Yeah, you do. We're talking about beards because one of our new features we're going to bring in, which is going to be on the website later on today, tomorrow, is we're going to start doing special 11s. And the first week we're going for bald versus bearded. And Harry's got the bald team and Jamie's got the bearded team. There's some cracking birds in there. Birds? Beards, not birds. Sorry about that.
I wish.
There's Perlo in there. What a man. Perlo's in the bearded team. In the bald team, we've got Roberto Carlos. There's some other crackers in there, isn't there? He did have Konchesky in there, but he's changed it. Fair enough, but I thought Konchesky was a good guy when he was us. But yeah, I'm waffling. But I reckon it could be cracking. And we're going to tweet it out to you, and you can tell us what you reckon the best 11 is and who would actually win. Abel Xavier is in the bearded one. What a beard that was, Jamie. Describe that beard in one word.
Immaculate.
Immaculate, there you go.
Bizarre.
Bizarre? When it like, was it blonde and like...
Blonde and a blonde
It
beard.
was shaped as well.
Yeah, it was shaped. Remember that.
Pirlo was the best though, just have to say. Rest my case there. Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Also, before we finish, Pachito and Morky are back this week. I know I said last week they'd be back, but he wasn't because international, you know, went a bit brain dead. But they'll be back this week with the predictions. I'm sure Morky's still leading the way.
He is still leading the way.
Still leading the way, Morky. So George, come on, we've got to step up the game. All that Arsenal shirt's coming. Right, before I carry on talking, I hope you've enjoyed the show. Get tweeting us about your favourite 11 and who you reckon would win. And yeah, we'll see you next week.